Here we go. Game 2 between Thelonebanana and Grindhouse 134. Map is Karag Drawn, I believe it's pronounced. It is a large map, pretty symmetrical, albeit one forest on, I think, one of the player sides, but it looks like a pretty good battleground here.
Yep, definitely. Also, we got Grindhouse coming in to game 2 of the series between Grindhouse and Thelonebanana. Grindhouse has chosen to play the Skaven, his main faction, and Lone Banana has decided to counterpick with the vampire counts.
Now, if any of you missed it, Game 1 was in favor of Grindhouse. He took the victory 1-0 as Dwarfs against the Empire. And we'll see how Game 2 performs right here.
Yeah, definitely excited about this one. I don't actually see the Lone Banana play vampire counts very often, but that makes me pretty excited about it because I know that he has expressed a lot of interest in learning how to play them as well. We got here, speaking of, from Lone Banana, Claw of Nagash, basically the MVP on the roster. I would say it's decent in this matchup too. A White King, which is a perfect unit against Skaven. Small profile, bonus versus infantry is tough.
Important to note that he is a ground hero, a foot hero as it were.
Yeah, definitely. And we also have Black Knights. 3 Black Knights and a Blood Knight. Among them with 3 Felbats and assorted Skellies and a few Zamps.
Now, I think it's important to note here, we're looking at the Karstein Vampire Lord. The Banana has opted to take Transformation of Kadan, the Summon of the Vargulf, on top of Raise Dead, Invocation of the Godly Heal, with Undead Resurgent, melee defense and leadership, AoE, 40-meter radius with an 18-second duration default.
Definitely a mean-looking army from the Vampire Counts. And over with Grindhouse's Skaven, we have Ikit Claw on the Doom Wheel. There we go.
Rocking
That's
the anti-air spell, the Howling Warp Gale, and the Brass Orb are pretty standard. Minimal besides the Doom Wheel. Looks like they're kicking off ready. His hero is the Plague Priest on the Plague of Furnace, I think it's called. He's got the Clan Rat Summon, no, Plague Monk and Clan Rat Summon, with Pestilent Breath, the native ability for the mount itself. 3 Ogres, and Eshin Triad Squad. Let's make it 2 of those, with the second one being the ROR, the Regiment of Renown, that can summon a clone twice. Aligned Skaven slaves, about 4 or 5 of them here, with a secondary line of 4 clan rats, one being the ROR, excuse me, that is the Council Guard, Stormburn Halberdiers, these albino dwarfs with Unbreakable.
albino Skaven, yeah, not quite dwarfs, but
Let's call it Skaven, yeah, he stole last round. Ikakal got early advance on the zombies, being screened out by the Von Karstein Vampire Lord, who has a pretty dang good melee stat line of 70.
Well, Ikit going in, destroying these zombies, but that's what zombies are for.
We have Clan Rat Sun going down from the Plague Furnace to meet the zombie advance. Slow him down. There isn't a traditional Skaven gun line here. Most of that money is being put into the Abomination and the Rat Ogres. A lot of mass. The Vampire Counts aren't known for their anti-large by too many means.
Except for, of course, a Terrorgeist, which we do not see, unfortunately, today. It looks like he went for mostly an infantry build, which is good and everything. All
mostly
you need is
infantry,
one Blood Knight.
Four Black Knights. I think this entire roster is going to ride on the back of those Black Knights.
Yeah, or the Blood Knights also, leading them. We also have the Bats here, which have yet to make a move, but as soon as they're needed.
I don't actually see any... Oh yeah, Blood Knights alongside the Black Knights.
Yeah, 3 Black Knights.
Breath coming down from the Furnace, meeting the skeleton charge. Passing Lord taking the harass from Naked Claw. Spears
Claw
meeting.
just mowing down.
Spears looking to screen the ogres out. Undead
Both
infantry
sides.
meeting their frontline advance. Not a whole lot of targets for the Fell Bats. If they can find the Eshin Triads, that would be ideal.
It would be. They're
Mortis
definitely
engine
revealed.
getting focused down by the Goon Squad.
That is bad news.
This
That's
is
basically the heart
very
and soul of
bad
the
news.
vampire army. If only the bats could come in to save him.
Something. This Mortis engine needs to get out of there.
That Hell Pit Abomination is going to rip it apart if he gets his hands on it, but it looks like, yep, we have the Claw of Nash running away with his 48 speed, with the Chilling Aura.
It should definitely
enough.
outrun the Plague Priest.
Definitely, but we need to see it get back in combat to see its bonuses really be used all the way. And we got here Black Knights, which were engaged on by the Eshin Triads on the left, pulling out now, and another cavalry charge of Black Knights on the side. Hell Pit Abomination being engaged on by Black Knights. That is not a very favorable trade for Black Knights.
Not at all. That the anti-large coming from the Hell Pit Abomination, destroying these Black Knights. They need to get out of there now.
Should really be Blood Knights on him, but either case, we have the Goon Squad coming in, and wouldn't want to be Blood Knights in that situation either, unless you also had your White King and your Claw of Nagash with them, which could very well happen in a minute. We see all of those units breaking through the center right now. Let's see where he chooses to go with them. This could be a pivotal moment. If he takes out the Skaven Goon Squad, then that could be a steal.
It seems Thelonebanana has opted to destroy the army around the three large bodies, and then focus into them later.
Yep, good trade into the Rat Ogres here with the Blood
Orb
Knights.
landing on the Black Knights.
Oh, that is
out of there.
That is a lot of damage. What a good spell.
Basically a free ability at that. No one's a magic at the cost.
Oh, it's a free Pit of Shades almost. And that's like 13 mana, so you gotta figure that's
Knights
something
meeting the Rat Ogre's charge. Should be a pretty favorable engagement right there.
Definitely. Blood Knights taking a little bit of damage from that armor-piercing charge from the Rat Ogres, but still they are going to come out on top. And the Eshin Triads coming in here. I think this is the real one, not even the clone.
Indeed, meeting the Blood Knights on the field. Those Blood Knights need to get out of there. That
is
the
bad.
the Weeping Blades poison being applied to their armor. They're losing all of it on top of the anti-large damage they're receiving from them.
Still a pretty close game. The Skaven have a few tools still at extremely high health.
We're seeing a large collapse on the Mortis engine. Abomination, Ogres, double Eshin Triads. This White King should honestly be trying to goon out the Plague Priest. Right now, opting to finish off Clan Rats.
Oh, and we have a Vargul summon. Definitely a powerful ability. And honestly, I rarely ever see it used, and I never use it myself, so it's not very predictable either. But I'm not sure if it's being used to its fullest capabilities, just fighting Eshin Triads. And maybe it'd be best to use it if everybody gooned out some of the essential gain pieces on the Skaven side.
Balance of power bar evening out, if not slightly in favor of Skaven. I'm not actually entirely opposed to this plan of his to finish off the rest of the Skaven line and then worry about the larger bodies afterwards. Some of these Black Knights are sitting in combat with the Council Guard. They need to get out of there. Needs to maintain the advantage of cavalry and remain mobile.
Yep, I would agree with you there. Definitely pulling them out of this sphere engagement is vital if he's going to stand really well. And honestly, he's even starting to maybe even take the balance of power. Vampire is such a good faction for turning the tides a bit, but you gotta also realize that like the Vargulf is adding a lot to the balance of power falsely. Now that he's deflating, we see the balance of power slipping back into Skaven territory. But these Plague Monks, I think, were also summoned, so as soon as they go, it might switch back. And like I mentioned, Vampires are really good in these longer fights. They just steal games away.
We are in the unfortunate situation where there's just almost nothing remaining of the Vampire Count's cavalry. One unit of Blood Knights with only 18 models left. If he can maybe salvage them from Invocation of the Heck, he gets to pull some plays, but I don't like where he's at right now.
Yeah, it is definitely risky business with that Brass Orb coming in and dealing a lot of damage to just skeletons, but when they're your last skeletons, it matters. And Klavnagash pulling out for a moment. Van Karstein Vampire Lord still basically full health, and he's only healed for about 600 overall, so he's still got fighting.
Winds of Magic should be at least halfway. I haven't seen too many spells being cast yet. Mortis Engine taking a lot of damage over this game, but it's hanging in there. A very essential late game piece.
Absolutely escaping. Oh yeah, White Knight is
albeit surrounded by the Council Guard, not exactly where he wants to be.
Well, I don't know. This is a pretty optimal engagement for him. He's got a bonus versus infantry. He's got 90 armor. I mean, they've got armor piercing, but I think that it's a pretty good engagement for him to deal with these unbreakable Skaven elite halberds rather than have any other unit deal with them.
Claw looking to finish off that Mortis Engine.
Oh yeah, Claw menace this whole game. Honestly, Claw may be one of the best, if not the best Lord in this matchup, because with the Doom Wheel, he can just slide through most troops unless the Vampires have a gooning squad dedicated to him. Klavnagash taking mortal damage. It is crumbling. If it takes one more, oh. I don't know.
It's about done, and there it goes. A finishing left hook by the Abomination.
And without that piece, I don't know that the Vampires can take this back. As you see the balance of power bar a little bit now in the favor of the Skaven, I feel like that's the last time we're ever going to see it shift in this match.
We're seeing very little left on the side of the Vampires. He's got the rest of these units back in the main fight. He still has Vampire Bats, Fell Bats somehow in the late game. If he's not careful, his Vampire side Vampire Lord will waver if it gets surrounded by the Goon Squad. Wicked Claw though opting to finish off the rest of the undead infantry.
Wicked Claw getting a charge bonus in on the White King. Honestly, really good idea because, like I mentioned, the White King, very tough unit for Skaven to deal with unless they focus it down. And these Council Guard are just not going to cut it. Another summon coming in here just to occupy the undead forces for a little bit longer while the White King is gooned out. We got a Skelly man coming in from the side. Forgot we even had him.
Skeleton Spears, Skeleton Warriors coming back from their side engagements. This isn't a terrible place to be. This could honestly go either way. I did forget that the White King is on foot, so of course that Council Guard engagement was actually very good. I think even the Grindhouse may have forgotten about that with that engagement he did previously.
That could be, although even though the skeletons have returned, they're already not in great shape. The skeleton spear is almost down to crumbling already, and health just sort of wavering a little bit. I still don't think that the Vampires have the necessary tools to really kill some of these Skaven elite units, especially the Doom Wheel. I think that a lot of the battle just passed too quickly for the Vampires to really like I was mentioning, I think that these elite units that they left behind maybe if the time was spent gooning them out, instead you'd have Skaven hordes to deal with, which a few really powerful, especially terror causing units, and the Claw of Nagash being one of them, great unit against large masses, would not have a big problem with that, I would think, in the late game. But definitely, if the Skaven army had been gooned out and the vampires were able to effectively trade into them and basically bring us to the reverse scenario, where it's just the Skaven elites among a bunch of vampire chaff and picking off one by one, that battle definitely could have ended differently. Here, we're just sort of waiting on the last of the vampire lords to be eventually swallowed whole by these monstrosities and ratmen.
Unfortunately, and I'm honestly willing to bet that there is at least one more summon left in the Skaven player.
Could be. Oh, this Plague Priest with almost 400 kills, those Pestilent Breaths against
Oh,
Chaffy Skeletons. So good. And honestly, the unit itself, such a melee powerhouse too. Honestly, I think it is maybe even a little bit overpowered.
definitely efficient in any sense. Plague Plague Pete. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it. You have a hero that gets double summons, an affordable mount with a native ability that puts out big damage on a large body. Very efficient. And I think that entire game, at least that late game, was pretty confidently taken by the Skaven player, if nothing else, with on the back of the Council Guard to rely on an Ikikla.
Absolutely. Grindhouse showing a great display on his main faction, the Skaven, against Thelonebanana's Vampire Counts, and that will leave us with a 2-0 in this series, so that Grindhouse will be advancing to the second round where he will face 530 Phil. Make sure to tune in next time, and that will be actually the last of the round one matches. So next we'll be moving on to round two.
Alright, I'll give this a second. And that's the